Must be new unis. I don't think I've seen those before. The Broncos in their home purples with gold trim, white numerals. Broncos going left to right in this first half as we are set for the border battle. Jay Boyle 4-0 all-time against Littlefork. The Broncos 55-11 all-time against Littlefork Big Falls, and the Broncos have won 7 in a row. And the last time the Vikings won was back in the 2013-14 season. Maddie Olson is ready, and she keeps moving, and she's going to get the referee upset. Tip is away, and Fairchild controls it for the Vikings. Coming across the half-court line with it is Larson. Back to Fairchild on the far wing. Fairchild dribbling, comes back to Larson near side. Down on the baseline to Erickson. Erickson back outside to Larson, around the horn to Fairchild. She looks inside, thought about the long three, leaves it off on the far side. Larson. Back in the corner to Erickson. Erickson. Broncos playing in a 2-3 here. Maybe a little 2-1-2 action if you want to think about that way. Maybe 3-2 as Lowe comes up towards the top of the key there. And the Vikings very patient here on this opening possession of this game as they try to go inside. Tipped away by Wolf. She comes up with the turnover. Down the floor she goes. Puts it up a little too hard. Lowe the rebound. Can't get the putback to go back in. Chloe Sullivan gets the rebound. She can't put it back in. And Fairchild comes up with the rebound. So Broncos have 3 point-blank shots. Cannot get any of them to fall as we are 1 minute into this opening half. Tipped away, and Windells will come up with the steal. Behind the defense is Wolf. Left-handed this time, fouled. And she'll head to the free throw line to look for the first points of this basketball game from the free throw line. See who they call that foul on for sure. It is going to be on number 10. That is Kenzie Swenson. She picks up her first, team first. Happy to have you along here on Midco Channel 7 and on kcc-tv.org. Tell your friends. Live Bronco basketball on the air this evening as Wold makes the first of 2 to give the Broncos the opening score of this basketball game. Broncos sitting at the 500 mark, again alternating losses and wins, looking maybe to put a win streak together here tonight and move above the 500 mark as Wold hits the second one and the Broncos lead 2-0. Larson slowly walks the ball up the floor. It looks like the Vikings are going to be, well, let's call it deliberate tonight and see if they can maybe take the air out of this game, kind of shorten it up and keep it as maybe low scoring as possible. To the far side, Fairchild thought about the 3. Larson, top of the key, thought about the 3. Back to Fairchild. She will put the 3 up this time. A little long rebound. Caught there by Larson outside. And there's a long 2-pointer, I believe, that banks in for number 4, Elise Larson. And we are tied at 2. Wolf comes to the near side. Sullivan wide open. 3-pointer on the way. Left that off the front rim just a little bit. Rebound into the hands of Larson. And that is Margaret Larson as Elise brings it across the timeline. Top of the key. Looking for Swenson, and we get a whistle. And we have got a illegal screen away from the ball on Danny Erickson. Her first, team second. So a little full court pressure coming here from the Vikings. Looks like it's going to be man-to-man. They get it into Wolf. Wolf tries to dribble up the far side, and everybody clears out as she takes on Elise Larson one-on-one. Wolf goes to the far side. Windows. Go over the top to Sullivan. Back to Windells. Outside to Wold as the Broncos will reset. To the far side to Windells. Back to Olson, now outside to Wold, and she's fouled on the 3-point shot, and she will head to the free throw line to see if she can add to her 2 effort on her last chance, or last term to the charity stripe. 15.5 minutes remaining in this first half. Broncos and the Vikings tied at 2. First free throw, on the way by Wold is good. Broncos regain the lead here. Wold, the senior point guard, second one on the way. Just crawls over the front of the rim, but no good. Broncos will change out Sullivan, put her back in a defensive position. Lefty, third one on the way, no good, comes off, and the rebound into the hands of Danny Erickson, and the Vikings will come back with a chance to take their first lead of this basketball game. Fairchild, far side. Now to Erickson in the corner. Back outside to Elise Larson. Elbow to Margaret Larson. Now inside to Swenson, and maybe got away with a travel. Erickson back inside to Swenson, too hard off the glass. And rebound, and it's a foul over the back on Margaret Larson, her first, team third. Team fourth by the scoreboard. As I believe that I miss Emily Fairchild on her foul. And here come the Broncos in transition. Get it up to Wendell's. To a wide open low, who puts it up off the glass and gets it to go. First field goal of the game, and the Broncos lead it 5-2. Larson will jog it up the far side of the floor. Broncos stay in that 3-2 look. Fairchild to Erickson in the corner. Outside to Larson. Back to Erickson in the corner. Trapped, gets rid of it. Elise Larson thought about the long two-pointer. Fairchild thought about the longer three. Goes inside, has it stripped. Ball on the floor. And we have a held ball, and it will be Bronco basketball. Vikings will stay with the full court pressure here. Olsen sets a screen for Wold. The pass is errant, but right into the hands of Maddie Olsen as she takes on Fairchild one-on-one, brings it across the timeline, leaves it there for Wold. Wold goes far side for Olsen. Olsen tipped away and right into the hands of Wold. To Sullivan, inside to Wendell's, up off the glass and good. Anna Wendell, her first bucket of the ball game, and the Broncos lead it 7-2. Pass by Larson to Erickson, and Larson brings it into the front court. In the corner to Erickson, she cuts through, picks up the pass, can't not get the layup to go. Rebound to Erickson, no good, and the rebound to Sullivan. Olsen brings it across the timeline, hands it off there to Wold, back over near side to Olsen. Olsen to Sullivan on the near wing. Wendell's open at the elbow, right back out to Sullivan as the Broncos quickly move it around the perimeter. Three-pointer on the way by Wold, that's good. And the Broncos lead by 8 by a score of 10-2. Elise Larson comes near side for Fairchild. Top of the key to Swenson. Swenson falls down, gets it off to Margaret Larson. Fairchild, 17-foot jumper on the way, no good. Sullivan the rebound. Vikings have not had many second chance opportunities on the offensive end of the floor as Wold brings it across the timeline. Comes near side for Olsen. Olsen to Sullivan on the wing. Wendell's open at the elbow, blocked by Elise Larson, right into the hands of Swenson, and the Vikings come back the other way. Larson to Fairchild, top of the key. Long three on the way, off the glass, good. 10-5 now, the Broncos lead it as we go into the 13-minute mark remaining here in the first half. Wold goes to the far side of the floor, then comes back to Olsen, to Wold far side. Wendell's picks it up on the far wing, goes to the elbow to Sullivan, who leaves it for Olsen. To Wold, three-pointer on the way, got it. She's got 9 in the ball game with the Broncos 13 as they regain that 8-point lead here with 12.5 remaining in the first half. Elise Larson in the corner to Margaret Larson, lobbed inside, tipped away by the Broncos. Turnover on the Vikings as Wold comes up with the loose ball. She leaves it out to Olsen, who gives it right back to Wold. 1-2-2 here by the Vikings on the defensive end of the floor for them. Wold and Olsen playing catch. Finally bring it to Sullivan on the near wing. Skip pass to Wold. 3 for 3 from the three-point range. Nope, let that one short. Low, the easy rebound. The putback, and the Broncos up 15-5. And Coach Mason Inhofe says, we must have a timeout. The clock's still running. We'll see how long that... Oh, there she stopped finally. So the Broncos have a 10-point lead here as the Vikings take the timeout, their first of the ball game. Remember, you get 5 of them in high school, 3 60-second timeouts and 2 30s. If you are enjoying this program, consider becoming a KCC-TV member, sponsor, or make a donation. With continued support, we are able to live stream Broncos sporting events, school concerts, and community events. Information about making a donation, becoming a member, or sponsoring programs can be found on our website at kcc-tv.org. And I know our producer tonight, Darcy Sullivan, did you get any sleep this month with all the concerts and everything? You did? Just a little bit? Well, that's good. I am going to tell her, she probably doesn't know this yet, but we're going to take a couple of weeks off here before our next broadcast, and it will actually be Bronco girls basketball as they will be taking on Denfeld on January 16th will be our next broadcast. So put that on your calendars if you choose to do so. And then it's going to get kind of busy for a couple of weeks. We're going to squeeze some games in and maybe pick up an extra game or two along the way. We'll see how things go. So out of the timeout, we're over 6 minutes into this basketball game. The Broncos have not committed a foul yet. Now, I'm not looking for them to do that. I'm just saying that usually that's not the case with the Broncos. Out of the timeout, the Vikings in possession. Dayton Bush came in for the Broncos during that timeout. Inside goes to Elise Larson, tipped away. Pardon me, that is Andy Williams that had that tip away. Here comes Holly Wold. Left-handed layup. Good. She's got 11 of the 17 for the Broncos as they lead by 12. Fairchild, far side. After Williams came in during the timeout, Erickson dribbles into the paint, and they get a foul call, I believe, on Dayton Bush, who just came in. And it is her first, team first. As Fairchild will bring it in from the near baseline for the Vikings. Lobbed into Swenson, outside. Margaret Larson, jumper on the way, gets the nice roll, a shooter's touch. And it's 17-7 in favor of the Broncos. Wold across the timeline, handed by Andy Williams, comes to Olsen, near side of the floor. Back to Wold, far side. Coach Boyle yells to them to move it. Olsen, the long three, no. Rebound picked up there by Danny Erickson. And here come the Vikings back the other way with Swenson at the controls. Gets near the top of the key, leaves it for Williams near side to Fairchild. Thought about the 26-footer, but decided that was a little too far. Inside it goes to Swenson. She's pushed away from the bucket by Windells, forcing a pass. Now out to Fairchild, her long jumper, no. And I believe Danny Erickson is going to be over the back. That will be her second, team foul number 5 on the Vikings. As Coach Imhoff will stay with the full court pressure here. Sullivan brings it into Wold. Wold decides she can take care of it by herself as she heads up the center of the floor, leaves it off for Olsen. Near side for Sullivan. Skip pass to Wold. To Olsen to Sullivan. Three-pointer on the way by Sullivan. That's off the front rim. And Fairchild the rebound. She turns up the center of the floor. Now works to the far side. Slows it down. Williams. Fairchild. Skip pass to Erickson in the near corner. Back outside to Fairchild. Thought about the three, but Olsen closed. Tipped away by Sullivan, right into the hands of Erickson. Tried to go back inside. Tipped away, and Erickson runs down the loose ball, and Olsen will slap that out of bounds. As Maddie Lowe's going to come back into the ball game. Elise Larson going to come back into the ball game. Windells heads to the bench for the Broncos, and I believe we'll see Danny Erickson will head to the bench for the Vikings. A little confusion there. Vikings bring it in from the near sideline. Fairchild near the top of the key to Elise Larson on the far side. Back to Fairchild. Skip pass to Margaret Larson, baseline. Her short jumper, got it. Second time she's hit from that area, 17-9. The Broncos lead it here. Wold, facing a little pressure here from Williams. Moves across the timeline as the Vikings seg back into their 1-2-2. Olsen, near side. Back to Wold. Back to Olsen, near side. Inside to Sullivan. She puts the ball on the floor, steps through, and they're going to call a foul. Make sure we get the number on this one. It is going to be on number 10. That is Swenson, her second, team 6. So the Broncos will be shooting free throws the rest of the way as Sullivan heads to the free throw line looking for her first point of the basketball game. Junior's first free throw on the way. It's good. Broncos hadn't scored in over 2 minutes. Lucy Kennedy comes in replacing Dayton Bush for the Broncos. Sullivan ready for the second of 2. That's off the back iron, no, and the rebound into the hands of Margaret Larson. So the lead is 9 here at 18-9 for the Broncos. Elise Larson into the corner to Margaret Larson. Down to the block to Swenson. She's double teamed. Gets it outside to Larson. To Elise. Whoa, tips that away. Behind the defense, layup. Got it. She's got 13 points already of the 20 for the Broncos as they lead it by 11. In the corner to Larson. Margaret looks around. Outside to Fairchild. Fairchild off the dribble. Gets stopped there by Wold. Near side for Williams. To Elise Larson. Fairchild, top of the key three-pointer, no. Rebound, battle for between a Bronco and a Viking, and on the alternating possession, it will remain with Littlefork Big Falls. Fairchild bring it in from the near baseline. I have never seen an out-of-bounds play run like that before. I like it. Near side to Fairchild. Fairchild off the dribble to Elise Larson. Three-pointer on the way from the top of the key, off the glass, and good. So the 2 three-pointers for the Vikings have come off the glass. They trail it by 20-12. Olsen near side. In the corner to Kennedy. To Sullivan. Skip pass to Wold. Wold backs up, resets the offense. Comes to the near side to Olsen. As we go under 8 minutes remaining in the first half. Inside to a cutting Kennedy. She catches it, puts it one time on the floor, puts it up, cannot get a kind roll, gets her own rebound, puts it back up, won't go. She gets the rebound again, tried to tip it off of a Viking player, and then she caught it and rolled, and that's a turnover here on the Broncos, but you cannot fault the effort there by number 23, Lucy Kennedy. As the Vikings had a chance to cut this to 6 or perhaps 5 on this possession. Fairchild approaches the top of the key, now comes to the near side. Off the dribble, Williams gets stopped by Sullivan, down on the block, outside to Fairchild, back to Williams. Elise Larson wide open at the top of the key. Her three-pointer, nothing but the bottom of the net. And the Vikings trim the Bronco lead to 5 with 7:20 remaining in the first half. Wold across the timeline. Comes to Olsen. Back to Wold, far side of the floor. To Olsen. Inside, Lowe wide open, catches it, puts it up. Lowe's got 6 and the Broncos regain a 7-point lead. As we go under 7 minutes remaining. Margaret Larson in the corner. Outside to Fairchild, that's a little bit far. Race for the ball. Wold gets there first, then tipped away by Williams. It will stay with the Broncos. Here comes, yes, Anna Wendell's looking to come back in the ball game. She will replace Kennedy. Maddie Olsen will trigger it in from the far baseline. Lobbed inside, Sullivan catches it, puts it up, and they are going to call a foul on the Vikings. Not too bad of a job trying to get those hands straight up in the air, but the referee said no, 1 over the top. That's Margaret Larson, her second, team 7. As Sullivan heads to the free throw line, 1 for 2 so far in the game for Chloe at the free throw line. First one, nothing but the bottom of the net. Broncos have led by as many as 10 in this game. 12, excuse me. That's 17-5. Both free throws good for Sullivan as the Broncos lead 24-15. Here comes some 1-2-1-1 full court pressure, and that causes an immediate timeout from head coach Mason Imhoff. I think he's going to take a quick 30 and explain what he wants to do. Referee's looking for a 30-second call. Coach Imhoff wants to use this 30 seconds as effectively as he possibly can. And he's trying to talk to the girls, and the girls are trying to talk back to him. And they'll get it all straightened away as they're having problems getting 30 seconds up onto the scoreboard for the timeout. So now they've got the 30 seconds up there. Now everything's straightened away as the clock sits with 6:40 on it. That sounds about right to me. That's about right where it should be. And so coming out of the timeout, we'll see if Coach Jay Boyle decides to retreat out of the full court pressure. He got Coach Mason Imhoff to use one of his 4 remaining timeouts. He's got 3 left. I would back out of it and say, okay, we'll let you have it on this possession, and then the next time we make a bucket, we're coming back with it again, and we'll see if the Vikings have come up with or have retained what Coach Imhoff have talked about. Here come the Vikings trailing 24-15. Larson, Elise, far side, leaves it for Fairchild near the top of the key. 1 dribble, lost it, now to Larson. Elise, far wing, back to Fairchild. Vikings want to reset it here. Fairchild and Elise Larson playing catch right now. Now they go to Swenson at the elbow. Outside, Margaret Larson. Another short jumper. That won't go. Williams gets the rebound to Margaret Larson, and they'll get a reach-in foul here on Holly Wold. Her first, team second. Broncos have just 2 fouls through nearly 12 minutes of this first half. If I sound surprised, I am. Broncos usually play a little more aggressive than that and usually get a reach-in foul somewhere along the way, but they've been very, very good so far, and Wold is going to pick up 2 fouls in a matter of 2 seconds. And of course, that's her second, and that will probably necessitate her coming out of the game for a spell here, as Melody Rule is going to come in for the Broncos, replacing Wold. Erickson comes back into the game. She replaces Margaret Larson. Vikings in possession, trailing 24-15. Just over 6 minutes remaining. Fairchild, top of the key, dribbles to her right, leaves it off for Elise Larson. That was tipped by Lowe. Now back out to Fairchild. To Elise Larson as they continue to play catch. Try to go inside, Lowe tipped that away, but Swenson comes up with the loose ball to Erickson at the near elbow. Skip pass over to Elise Larson. 3-pointer on the way from the far wing, a little bit strong. Rebound, Erickson, she puts it back up, steadied herself. She gets her first points of the game, and the Broncos lead is trimmed to 24-17. And there's the turnover, steal by the Andy Williams by the Vikings, and all of a sudden it's 24-19. As the Vikings get an easy one right there, as Olsen will bring it up along the near sideline into the front court. Now says, I'm going to the bucket, see if you can stop me. And they call the charge on Olsen as Erickson draws it. And so the Broncos, who less than a minute ago had just 1 foul, they've picked up 3 in the last minute, and now have 4 team fouls as Olsen picks up her first. Vikings can trim this to a 1-possession ball game as they trail by 5. Larson across the timeline. Comes to Fairchild at the 10-foot volleyball line. Back to Larson on the far side. Back to Fairchild. Lobbed inside to Swenson. Back outside to Larson. 3-pointer on the way. That's off the front iron. Rebound battled for. And we are going to have a jump ball that will go to the Broncos on the alternating possession. I like what the Vikings are doing here. They're working the ball inside to bring it back outside to get an open jump shot. That's very good basketball by the Vikings here, and it's such a simple game. It's such a simple premise as Wold comes back into the game for Rule. Wold gets the inbounds pass from Sullivan, and everybody clears out as the Broncos had a little trouble bringing the ball up the floor when Wold was not on the floor. Wold near side to Olsen. Olsen, long pass to Lowe, who catches it, back outside to Wold. To Wendell's in the corner. Sullivan, elbow jumper, she is fouled by Fairchild, I believe. Let's make sure we got that right, and we did. Her second. So now the Vikings have 8 personal fouls, 8 team fouls. 2 on Erickson, 2 on Swenson, 2 on Margaret Larson, 2 on Emily Fairchild. Sullivan, back to the free throw line where she's 3 for 4, make it 4 for 5. Rule's going to come back into the ball game for Wold. And I think Coach Boyle just wanted to have a little chat with Melody about saying, here's what we need you to do. Go back out there and do it. We don't want Wold to pick up that 3rd foul. Sullivan's free throw on the way, also good. So the Broncos regain a 7-point lead here with just over 4.5 minutes remaining. Swenson dribbles it off her foot. Rule picks up the loose ball, and we're going to get a jump ball that will stay with LBF. Fairchild will bring it in from the far sideline. Into the backcourt to Larson. Fairchild to Larson. Back to Fairchild. 3-pointer on the way. That's an air ball, goes out of bounds, so we'll go over to the Broncos. Full court pressure here by LBF. Here comes Wold back in for Rule. As Coach Boyle says, I'll bring her in, get the ball down the other end of the floor, and then we'll see what happens. Wold breaks open, heads up the far sideline, crosses over, and now brings it into the front court. In the corner to Wendell's. To Sullivan at the elbow. Lobbed inside to Lowe. Steadies herself and puts up the bucket. The sophomore makes a nice catch and puts it up, gets her shoulder square to the bucket, and does a nice job of giving the Broncos a 9-point lead there. Tough catch by Lowe. Fairchild thought about the 3. Lowe, if she's going to play that point, has to be very aware that they want to shoot that 3-pointer from the top of the key. Swenson, elbow, jumper, no. Sullivan had the rebound tipped away. Wold comes up with the loose ball with 3:40 remaining in the first half. Broncos have a chance to get the lead back into double digits. Low in the corner. Sullivan cuts to the basket, puts it up, got it. her first field goal. The game of the Broncos have an 11-point lead with under 3.5 remaining. And just like that, it looked like I mentioned that the Vikings had a chance to cut it to one possession, and now it's back to an 11-point lead for the Broncos. In the corner to Williams, to Elise Larson, to Fairchild. Goes try to go inside to Swenson. That is out of her reach. Here come the Broncos in transition. Wold puts it up. Got it. Got 15 in the first half here, and the Broncos now lead by 13 as we go under 3 minutes remaining in this first half of this border battle between the Vikings and the Broncos. Wendels comes up with the steal. Looks, gets it off to Olsen, and they are going to say a travel, and that's a tough call on number 14 right there. Hannah Mark going to come in for the Broncos. Looks like she will replace Wendels. Margaret Larson comes back in, replacing Kenzie Swenson. Vikings need to think about a way to find a way to get this thing back into single digits. They've hung in here the whole first half, and it would be a shame if you're an LBF fan to see this game drift away from the Vikings in the final 2:45. Outside, Elise Larson. Baseline, dribbled off her foot there, Williams. Wold comes up with the steal. Steadies herself, gives the ball off to Olsen, and brings it into the front court. To Mark in the corner. Back outside. Wold, three-pointer on the way on the catch and shoot. Air ball, and that will go out of bounds to the Vikings. Wold has hit a couple of threes right from that spot right there, and I was looking to possibly have that happen again as Coach Boyle will play the offense for defensive card here as Rule comes back in replacing Wold. Larson into the front court. Dribbles far side. Erickson, top of the key. Well, toss pass and inside, and they'll call the foul here on the Broncos as Larson was looking for Erickson cutting down the lane from that high post. And they'll call this one on Hannah Mark. Her first, team fifth. So no free throws yet here with 2:09 remaining in the first half. Fairchild from the far baseline. Lobs it into Williams. Williams, Erickson, elbow jumper, got it. Erickson's got 4 points in the ballgame, 32-21. The Broncos lead it as we go under 2 minutes remaining. Rule quickly down the floor to Mark in the corner. Takes a couple dribbles, clears herself, gives it to Olsen. Olsen to a cutting Sullivan, goes to the bucket, lays it off the glass, and good. Good vision there by Chloe Sullivan. She heads to the bucket and gives the Broncos a 13-point lead. Larson to Fairchild at the 10-foot volleyball line on the floor. Near side for Erickson. Erickson off the dribble to the free throw line. Puts it up off the glass and got it. Back-to-back bucket for Erickson. And it cuts the Bronco lead to 11. Rule quickly up the near sideline to Olsen. Inside to Sullivan. He turns, puts it on the floor, leaves it for Mark. 15-foot jumper, rattled in and out. Rebound into the hands of Fairchild for the Vikings as they come back with a chance to get this into single digits. Larson, far side of the floor. Fairchild, near the top of the key. Back to Elise Larson. Inside to Margaret Larson. Her jumper, no. Mark the rebound. Leaves it off for Sullivan, who's looking maybe to get rid of it. She says, no, I think I can handle this. Rule right to the bucket. No foul called. Mark comes up with the rebound. A lot of contact there. Inside, Sullivan. Turns, spins, puts it up. Man, I was going to say that she wouldn't hit the underside of the rim from that close in, and the referee agrees with me. This foul will be on Margaret Larson, her third, team ninth. Now Coach Imhoff has to get somebody off the bench to replace her. Sullivan heads to the free throw line where she's 5 for 6 so far in this first half. Make it 6 for 7. Into the ball game for the, there's going to be Elvira Samutkin for Larson. As Margaret Larson goes to the bench with those 3 fouls. Sullivan rattles the second one home. Broncos have a 13-point lead here as the Broncos put on a little pressure. Rule looking for the steal from behind, and she'll tip it out of bounds with 39 seconds remaining. Fairchild from the far sideline lobs it inside to Swenson. Swenson puts it up, won't go. Rebound, battled for, and I think Mark is going to pick up her second foul as Samutkin is going to head to the free throw line. So she comes off the bench, gets a rebound. It is going to be on Mark, her second, Team foul number 6, so the Vikings, if the Broncos create any more fouls here, will be in the 1-and-1. Elvira, the first free throw, no good. Wold back in for Rule. Smutkin ready with the second of 2 with 35.6 remaining. That's off the iron. Olsen the rebound. Here come the Broncos in transition. Wold, see she doesn't have numbers and then gets freight trained by Elvira Smutkin. And Holly comes up with the right attitude about that one. She laid on the brakes. She got hammered. She'll head to the free throw line. She's 3 for 5 so far in this first half, as there will be 2 free throws, as that is the 10th team foul on the Vikings, so 2 free throws. Wold, first one on the way, got it. Bronco lead grows to 14 here with 32 seconds left. Low back in the game for Mark. As Wold ready with the second of 2. Off the air, and she knew it as soon as it left her hand. And Elise Larson comes up with the rebound and heads up the far sideline. Possible last possession of this first half. Smutkin had knocked away by Lowe, and the ball's on the floor. We'll get an alternating possession jump ball, and it'll go over to the Broncos. So now the Broncos, with 18.1 seconds left, I think Coach Boyle should say, hey, we want to look to take the last and final shot. Even if we don't get a second chance at it, we do not want the Vikings going down the floor and getting another opportunity. We want to go in up by at least 14. Wold backs up a little bit. Olsen near side. Goes to Wendell's outside to Wold with 5 remaining. 4, 3, Sullivan. Will the Broncos get a shot off? Wold pulls up from about 12 and does not get it to go. And our halftime score. The International Falls Broncos 37. Littlefork Big Falls Vikings 23. We'll take a little break here. We'll tally up the stats from the first half and we'll come back with those. You are watching Bronco Girls Basketball right here on kcc-tv.org and on Midco Channel 7. You name it. As we get the second half underway, the Vikings going left to right as they bring it to Erickson on the near wing. Looks like they've changed a little bit of their look here as they look like they go more 1-3-1 here off the, at least the initial look. Fairchild, the long 3 off the front iron, no long rebound. Comes to the near sideline, and the referee says off the Vikings, and we'll go over to the Broncos for their first possession. Bronco Girls Hockey, should finally mention them. They get started down in the cities at the Schwann's Cup on Monday, and they will be playing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then of course school starts again on Thursday, so we'll get back underway in the classroom on Thursday as Wold brings it up the center of the floor. First possession of the second half for the Broncos as they have their biggest lead of the game at 14. Far side, just off the hands of Olsen, right into the hands of Wendell's. Fortunate bounce there for the Broncos as Wold gets the return pass. Vikings stay in the 1-2-2. Fairchild putting on a lot of distance, low behind the defense. One dribble, leaves it for a wide open Sullivan who puts it off the glass. And then the Broncos lead it 39-23. Good ball movement in the offense there, and that's a tough pass over the top of the defense and into the hands of Lowe, who had her eyes open and found the cutting Sullivan. Near side for Erickson. Erickson, they work it around the perimeter to the Vikings to Elise Larson. Back near side to Erickson. Tipped out of bounds by Wold, and the Vikings going to a little 1-3-1 look here to try to get the Broncos, but if the ball gets moved to the corner, it'll look a lot like what they ran in the first half. But right now, they're just trying to give the Broncos something new to think about and get maybe the Broncos out of position and see if they can get some open buckets. Near side for Erickson. To the elbow to Margaret Larson. She spins, leaves it for Elise. 3-pointer on the way from the top of the key. No. Rebound, batted around, and Fairchild comes down with it. Thought about the long 3 from the corner, but outside to Larson. To Swenson, off the dribble, and she doubled. Wanted to pass, wanted to keep going, made up her mind to do both, and that, of course, always causes problems. Full court pressure here by the Vikings. Into Wold against Elise Larson. Erickson almost came with the double team there. Almost surprised Wold as she brings it into the front court. Far side for Olsen. To Wendell's on the wing extended. Inside to Lowe. She catches, turns, puts it up and in. Double digits, and the Broncos have their biggest lead of the ball game at 18 as we approach 16 minutes remaining in this ball game. Larson. Vikings will go to back to their look that they ran in the first half. Erickson in the far corner. Excuse me, that is Margaret Larson. Elise Larson near side, now to Erickson in the near corner to Fairchild. She dribbles in and she's hammered at the free throw line, and she'll head to the free throw line to shoot two. And I laughed because Maddie Olson turned and looked at Coach Boyd like, "Ooh, I didn't mean to do that," but I did it. That's the way it goes sometimes. I don't want to talk about, I got in trouble the last time because I said something about Maddie and it got back to her and she rewound it and saved it and recorded it and sent it out to all her friends and then brought it to me and said, "Don't do this anymore, Mr. Ringhofer. We're gonna have to have a discussion." So I won't do that anymore. I'll do it nicely, Maddie. Thank you very much. Her mother loved it, by the way, though. First free throw missed by Fairchild. Second one is good. 41-24, here comes that full court pressure again by the Vikings. Wold against Erickson this time. Gonna be a little more of a trap here. Stay out of the man-to-man. Go to Olson on the far side after coming across the timeline. Back to Wold on the near side. 1-2-2 here again by the Vikings. Skip pass to Olson. Three-pointer on the way. Got it! Olson's first basket of the ball game, and it's a long one. And the Broncos up by 20 at 44-24. Broncos will back off. Into that 3-2. Larson to Fairchild. Fairchild off the dribble into the corner to Margaret Larson. Back outside, Wold comes up with the steal. Slows it down along the near sideline to Sullivan, who brings it across the timeline. Leaves it there for Wold. Broncos can lead by 22 or 23 on this trip. Wold, a long three. That's off the mark and rebound into the hands of Margaret Larson, who turns. Leaves it for Erickson, who puts it back to Elise Larson. Larson comes near side, then goes back to Fairchild. He dribbles to the top of the key, in the corner to Erickson. Down to Swenson on the block. Her shot no good. Olson comes up with the rebound. Wold was behind the defense. Olson went to pick it up and throw it all at the same time, and she double dribbled. So you knew she had to come up with a long touchdown pass there to hit Wold in stride. And in doing so, ended up carrying and picking up the ball. Larson to Fairchild. Fairchild. Tough to shoot over the top of Maddie Lowe at near 6 foot with those long arms. That's exactly why Maddie Lowe is there. Into the corner. Erickson. Long three-pointer on the way. No rebound. Knocked away. And run down by Margaret Larson. Outside to Elise. Elise dribbles to the top of the key to Fairchild. Inside to Swenson. Double team. Goes back outside to Margaret. Back into Swenson in the elbow. Larson had it at the elbow. Just couldn't come up with it clean. And then sends out the long three. No. Long rebound in the hands of Fairchild. She dribbles in. Puts up the jumper. And Sullivan gives the referee like, "You've got to be kidding me." And the official had to bail himself out there because I thought pretty good position there by Sullivan. Her first. Team second. Fairchild heads back to the free throw line, 1 for 2 so far this half. First one on the way, no. After the Christmas holiday here, as Kennedy comes in to replace Maddie Lowe, the Vikings will be hosting Black Duck next Thursday. Then the following Monday, they will be playing Ely and Deer River at home. It will be followed by Big Fork and Lake of the Woods at home. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 straight home games for the Vikings after the new year, as the second free throw is also missed. And Coach Jay Boyle says, "I want a 30-second timeout to discuss things." Looking over at the Broncos schedule, just starts off none too easy, as they will also play next Thursday. They go on the road to play Hitting. Then they come back home, take on, well, everybody's favorite team to play, MIB, who will come here. Well, they lost the other day yesterday to Duluth Marshall, who has one of the best teams in Section 7 2A, and it was a battle in MIB's home tournament. And also the Broncos will go to Evelyn Gilbert on Thursday the 9th, and then come home on the 11th to take on Two Harbors. So the Broncos, after the holiday break, in their first 6 games will have 4 home games. And again on that schedule will be MIB Two Harbors, Duluth Denfeld. That game we'll have on the air on kcc-tv.org and Midco Channel 7. And then Northwoods will be here on Martin Luther King Day, the 20th. As we come back to action, the Broncos facing that full court pressure as they get it into Wold here. Under 14 minutes remaining in this ball game. 44-24, the Broncos lead it. Sullivan says, I'm going to the rack, and she loads it in. She's got 15 in the ball game, and the Broncos lead it by 22 with 13:40 to go. Erickson comes across the timeline on the far side of the floor, leaves it for Fairchild. Low out of the game, so Wendell's will take over that job on the point and keeping the three-point shot from the top of the key. Wendell's backed up. Fairchild says, I'll take that, and she just almost put it in there. It rolls off the rim as the Broncos come back the other way. Olsen to Wold near side. To Wendell's. To Wold. To Olsen. Back to Wold on the near side. Broncos up by 22. Can be patient here. Inside to Kennedy. Puts it on the floor. Try to go back to Wendell's, and they say out of bounds and over to the Vikings. Again, we'll have Bronco boys versus LBF boys coming up here about 25 minutes after the completion of this basketball game. And we'll have this doubleheader for you right here on kcc-tv.org and on Midco Channel 7. Fairchild near the top of the key to Erickson on the near side. To Swenson at the elbow, tipped away. Margaret Larson runs down the loose ball in the near corner. Try to go inside. Wold and Swenson will have a held ball, and it will go to the Broncos. Broncos looking to get above the 500 mark for the first time this season. They're 3-3, and they have alternated losses and wins as Wold gets the inbounds pass. She's going to take it all the way to the rack, hits the underside of the rim, and they will call a block as there was contact inside that little arc in the middle of the lane, as Wold will head to the free throw line where she's 4 for 7. She had 16 points in the first half. She'll be looking for her first of the second half as Margaret Larson picks up her 4th foul. Now, folks, we can talk about this little arc in the lane all day, but that's an NBA or a college thing. I don't know why they had to bring that into high school basketball. There shouldn't be a place on the floor where a charge isn't a charge. That's just one man's opinion. And we'll leave it at that as Wold hits the first of 2, ready for the second. No good, and the rebound into the hands of Andy Williams. So the lead 23 now for the Broncos at 47-24. Erickson, top of the key. Leaves it for Fairchild. Back to Erickson. With Elise Larson out of the ball game, Erickson will come out and play that perimeter spot. Fairchild, three-pointer on the way. Got it. Her second 3 of the ball game, and Coach Mason Himhoff wants to take a full timeout. Will allow us to remind you that if you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a KCC-TV member, sponsor, or make a donation. With continued support, we are able to live stream Broncos sporting events, school concerts, and community events. Information about making donations, becoming a member, or sponsoring programs can be found on our website at kcc-tv.org. We would appreciate all the help that we can get. The more help we get, the more games we can do. That's how this works, and hopefully you'll have an opportunity to do that. You know, you might say, well, geez, would $5 be enough? Yeah, $5 would be enough. $25 would be better, of course, but we'll take it any way we can get it, and we would definitely appreciate that opportunity to be able to do that. Come out of the timeout, Broncos leading it by 20 after the made 3 by Fairchild. Vikings come with a little 1-2-2 zone here this time. They've been playing man-to-man full court, then dropping back into the zone. So now they'll go 1-2-2 back into the 1-2-2. Wold near side for Olsen. Hits a cutting Sullivan. Very nicely done. Sullivan, a little crossover, heads into the lane, up off the glass, and good. That's the way you get the ball in the middle of the floor and attack the press and make them pay for it with 12 minutes remaining in this ball game. Far side. Margaret Larson tries to go back to Fairchild. Nearly 2 possible steals there for the Broncos. Williams to Fairchild. Fairchild backs off, resets. Lobs it inside looking for Erickson, and Kennedy will pick up the foul. Kennedy's first, team foul number 2 on the Broncos this half. Fairchild will bring it in from the far baseline. Here comes Lowe back into the ball game. She replaces Wendell. Actually, team 3rd, correction. Used to Kevin Doughty being on the scoreboard before I can even look up. He's got that foul on the board, but Kevin on vacation, and there's a steal by Wold behind the defense, and she'll lay it in. We got 19 in the ball game as the Broncos increase their lead to 51-27. Fairchild quickly up to the near side to Margaret Larson. Back to Fairchild, long three on the way, got it. She's got 3 threes in the ball game now, as it's 51-30 in favor of the Broncos. Sullivan through the middle of that press. Didn't see the numbers like she saw in the last opportunity, so pulls back and resets. That's veteran stuff right there, as Kennedy has it in the corner. Inside, Sullivan puts it up in traffic. Somehow gets that to go. She had 11 at the half. She's got 8 more in this second half. Her and Wold both have 19 points for the ball game. Lobbed inside to Swenson, puts it on the deck, puts it up on the glass, no, won't go. Kennedy rips down the rebound. Off to Wold, who's behind the Viking defense, goes into the defense and gets the line one. As Wold goes into the over 20-point area, and the 3-point opportunity coming here with some contact, as Williams will pick up the foul, her first, team foul number 2. Dayton Bush comes in for Lucy Kennedy, as Wold will look to complete the 3-point play here with 10:39 remaining in the ball game, and that one's off the mark, and Williams comes up with the rebound. Took it back the other way, Fairchild. Thought she saw an opportunity, but Lowe closed it up in a hurry. Fairchild in the corner to Williams. Williams off the dribble. Fairchild was open, was going to put up the 3, blocked there by Sullivan on the shot by Swenson, and then we'll get a foul on Dayton Bush. Her second, team foul number 4 on the Broncos this half. Here comes Melody Rule. She will replace Maddie Olson. Fairchild will bring it in from the near baseline. Lobs it to Erickson. Back in the corner to Fairchild. 3-pointer on the way. A little bit strong. Rebound in the hands of Margaret Larson. Pass tipped away by Rule. Rule racing against Swenson. Puts it up. Draws the foul. On Kenzie Swenson, it'll be her third, as Rule will head to the free throw line looking for her first points of the ball game. Good aggressiveness by the senior. Member of the Bronco bowling team, participated in the state tournament a few weeks back. Ended up, I think, taking 12th place off the top of my head, as Rule makes the first of 2. Elise Larson back in for Margaret Larson for the Vikings. Rule second free throw, that is an air ball, so ball should come to the sideline, but the referees will bring it in from the baseline. Elise Larson brings it into the front court, leaves it for Fairchild. Come back to Larson, nearly stolen away by Wold. Inside to Swenson, turn, try to go into the corner with it, tipped away by Wold, but Erickson runs it down. She gets cut off on the baseline drive by Sullivan. Sullivan now trapped along with Wold. Somehow Erickson escaped that trap. Under 10 remaining here in the ball game. Fairchild off the dribble to Erickson on the baseline in the short corner. Here's it for Williams outside. Fairchild a little bit too close there. Spacing for the Vikings right now, getting tightened up as the players very close together. Inside to Swenson on the block. She puts up a tough shot. Can't get it to go. Bush has the rebound, taken away. Swenson can't get the easy bunny to go in, gets her own rebound, and then draws the foul. And we'll see if they call this one on Bush or Sullivan. It will be on Dayton Bush, her third, team 5th. Swenson will head to the free throw line, looking for her first points of the ball game. Coach Mason Imhoff doing some serious coaching over here with Erickson and Elise Larson, as Swenson gets the first of the 2 free throws to go. Of course, Mason Imhoff was the head boys coach here for a couple of years before moving back down to Littlefork, taking over the girls program. And an air ball, no, the referee says it hit the rim. And the official finally realized his mistake, said, all right, I'll resettle this. Here comes Wendells and Olsen back into the game for Bush and Rule. So the starting lineup back in there for the Broncos. And for the Vikings, starting lineup except Andy Williams in the game for Margaret Larson, who has 4 fouls. Wold near side as we approach the halfway mark of this second half. Far side for Sullivan. To Wendell's on the elbow, low down on the block. Broncos working around the perimeter now. Sullivan, elbow. Wendell's long jumper, off the iron, no, and the rebound into the hands of Danny Erickson. How can 0 look like 11? How can those two numbers look so close to the same in my old vision, my old eyes? Maybe I'm going to have to get back into the doctor and get this straightened away. Vikings, outside Erickson. I can see that one pretty easily in the corner. No good. Rebound to Andy Williams. Works it to the outside. Elise Larson, three-pointer. Got it. Her third 3 of the ball game. Her first of the second half. And it's 56-34 with under 8.5 remaining. Wold works it up the near side to Wendell's. Cross court to Olsen. Back to Wold near side. To Olsen. Sullivan on the wing. Skip pass to Wold. Three-pointer on the way. Got it. Her third 3 of the ball game. And the Broncos get a 25-point lead here as we go under 8 minutes remaining. Erickson in the near corner. Try to go inside. That's tipped away by Wendell's, and it will stay with the Vikings. Got Bronco boys and Viking boys basketball coming up as Coach Mason Imhoff is going to take a full timeout, use up one of his remaining 2 timeouts as the Broncos lead it by 25 points here. Again, our next broadcast on kcc-tv.org and Midco Channel 7 will be, well, almost 3 weeks away, as it'll be on Thursday, January 16th, as Duluth Denfeld girls come to town to take on the International Falls Broncos. And then the following Monday, we'll be heading over to Fort Francis to do the Bronco versus Muskie girls hockey game. And that will be a lead-in to doing the Bronco boys hockey game over there on February 4th. And we'll pick up a couple other games in January along the way. So we'll have 4 games on the air for you in January. It just will be a little later on in the month. And just worked out. That's how the schedule works out. As we are looking to get 3 games on for the 2 basketball teams and the 2 hockey teams. We already had a Bronco boys swimming and diving meet on, as they took on the Chisholm Blue Streaks and got a nice win back there on December 12th. So out of the timeout here, the Vikings anticipating some pressure, and the Broncos going to go up there and play pretty tight down on the baseline. Fairchild, 3-pointer on the way, got it. She's got 4 3-pointers in the ball game, 3 of them in the second half here, and it's 59-37. Wold across the timeline. Far side for Olsen, back to Wold on the near side. Wold, back to Olsen on the far side. Back to Wold as the Broncos patiently work the ball along the perimeter. To Sullivan on the elbow, 1 dribble, goes to low on the baseline. Try to hit a cutting Wold, but right into the, Wendell's, but right into the hands of Wold. We'll put the 3-pointer up on the return pass, left that one a little bit short, and the rebound by Danny Erickson. Vikings trailing by 22 here, working up the near sideline. Swenson in the corner, lobbed inside to Erickson. Turns around, puts up a tough shot, won't go. Fairchild and Sullivan wrestle for the ball, and everybody's okay, I think. Fairchild took the brunt of that one, and on the alternating possession, it'll stay with the with the Vikings. Fairchild to bring it in from the near sideline, or baseline, excuse me. Lobbed outside to Erickson. She catches it there to Swenson at the elbow. Swenson leaves it for Elise Larson, who dribbles in, pulls up just inside of the elbow, left it a hair short. Rebound will be held up, and we'll get the Bronco possession. Vikings will stay with some full court pressure here as Hannah Mark will come in replacing Wendell's. Into Wold. And it's man-to-man, so everybody clears out as Wold will bring it up against Andy Williams. Across the timeline, lost her dribble. Somebody's got to come help her. It'll be Olsen. Olsen dribbles on top of that brand new Bronco in the middle of the floor. Lobbed inside to Wold, right into the hands of Olsen, who cannot get it to go. Rebound battled for on the floor Picking it up is Lowe, outside to Olsen. We'll reset it here for the Broncos as we go under 6.5 remaining. Wold. Olsen far side. To Mark at the elbow. One dribble, pops, drops it. Mark's first basket of the ball game, and the Broncos lead at 61-37. Larson quickly up the floor, comes in the corner to Swenson. Swenson goes down on the block, and Mark is all over Erickson, and they'll call the foul on her third, team 6. So the Vikings will shoot free throws for the rest of this ball game. Now watch this circle, this running around thing that the Viking players run at the free throw line. Nope, they didn't do quite as much of it that time. Last time they kind of spun it around like a merry-go-round, and then finally broke out of it. Erickson has the ball. To the elbow to Swenson. One dribble to Elise Larson. He dribbles in, and they call her for the travel. Got those feet going before the dribble. Under 6 now remaining. Broncos lead at 61-37. Here comes Lucy Kennedy. She will replace Maddie Lowe, who has 10 points in the ball game. She had 8 of those in the first half. Wold breaks open, sees an opportunity, leaves it outside for Mark, who dribbles away from the pressure. Outside to Olsen, back to Wold. Wold dribbles to the far side. Kennedy broke out and then tried to go back door, but covered very well there by Swenson. Pass outside to Kennedy. Back to Wold near the timeline. Coach Boyle barks out instructions. Everybody sets. Kennedy now inside to Sullivan. Catches it on the block. One dribble, stops, pops, won't go. Rebound into the hands of Swenson. Good patience there by Sullivan. Just didn't get her full pivot around to get her shoulders squared up to the bucket. And dragging the pivot foot is going to be Elise Larson. And a turnover here on the Vikings. Vikings started the season 6-0. And then Destiny Pekarski went down with the high ankle sprain. And a couple of losses for the Vikings after that. Looks like they may pick up their 3rd straight loss here this evening against the Broncos. Broncos 3-3 on the season, looking to get above the 500 mark for the first time this season, as the foul will be called on Fairchild on the perimeter. Her 3rd, team foul number 4. Kennedy will bring it in from the near sideline. Into Sullivan, right back to Kennedy, who tries to go to the bucket, knocked away by the Vikings, and Erickson comes up with the loose ball for LBF. In the corner to Swenson, lobbed inside to Erickson, maybe was tied up a little bit. The ball goes right into the hands of Williams, who shoots it up over the top of the backboard, hit the standard up above, and the Broncos will get it on the turnover. Here comes Dayton Bush into the ball game for Hannah Mark. Sullivan to bring it in to Wold. Wold dribbles against Fairchild. Fairchild almost tipped that one away, but Wold retains possession. Bush to Kennedy, top of the key, who leaves it for Wold on the wing. Wold thought about dribble penetration, but got cut off there by Fairchild. Wold gets the return pass from Olsen. Comes near side to Bush. Dayton weighs her options, gets to the elbow, nice little pick and roll with Sullivan. Sullivan comes up with the bucket. She's got 21 in the ball game now, and the Broncos lead it by 26 with 4:15 remaining. Broncos hadn't scored in over 2 minutes, and the Vikings haven't scored in nearly 4. Near side, Swenson thought about the 3, then puts it off the dribble, gets cut off there by Sullivan. Elise Larson, one dribble, pulls up from 12, nothing but the bottom of the net. For Elise Larson, she's got 13 in the ball game. Breaks a long scoreless streak there of nearly 4 minutes for the Vikings. Bush, right wing. Dribble penetrates, pulls up, off glass, no. Rebound into the hands of Swenson for the Vikings. And coach is going to use his final timeout here, Coach Mason Imhoff. With 3:35 remaining, the Broncos leading it by 24. This game is brought to you by KCC-TV, Couchiching County Community Television, Cable Channel 7, and we'd like to thank our members and sponsors for their continued support of our station. Good crowd here on the near side. You may not be able to see it so much on the camera, and the far side is starting to fill in because frankly you really can't find a spot on the near side. So you got to head to the far side, and a few people, well, getting off work on a late Friday afternoon, had supper, and now heading over, getting ready to watch the boys basketball game. We'll have that right here for you on kcc-tv.org and Midco Channel 7, and hopefully on YouTube and or Facebook. Vikings in possession. Lob it inside to Erickson on the block. She turns one way, turns back the other way. Blocked by Bush. Rebound Sullivan, who dribbles to the far side of the floor. Come back near side to Wold. Wold will reset it here for the Broncos as we approach 3 minutes remaining in the ball game. Wold pressured by Fairchild. Lobbed inside. Nice catch by Bush. Put it up. Won't go. Rebound Danny Erickson. Elise Larson pressures the ball up the floor quickly, gets it in the corner to Swenson. Three-pointer on the way, air ball, rebound to Melody Rule. And she dribbled it off her foot, not a bounce. So let's set the lineup here for the Broncos. On the floor right now, Lucy Kennedy, Melody Rule, Dayton Bush, Chloe Sullivan, and Holly Wold. So just two starters on the floor for the Broncos right now. Looking for the Vikings, you got Emily Fairchild out to Elise Larson, near side Danny Erickson. Kenzie Swenson at the free throw line, and down on the block there after the three-pointer there by Elise Larson is missed. Fairchild was on the baseline, and that is going to be number 21, Katarina Samutkin, who is in the ball game for the Vikings. And here comes Wendell's back into the ball game, replacing Sullivan, and I would assume that'll be the end of the evening for Chloe Sullivan. Looks like she'll end the night with 21 points. Here comes Wold back the other way. She's got 24 points in the ball game. Far side for Bush. Bush, pressured by Elise Larson, dribbles to the top of the key, leaves it for Wold. Broncos will reset it. Wold, fake left, goes right, gets it to Kennedy on the wing. Down inside to Rule. Tough shot behind the basket. Wendell's gets the rebound. She can't get it to go. And the rebound into the hands of Danny Erickson. Vikings coming back the other way. Larson in the corner to Swenson, inside to Erickson, who catches it, puts it up, and puts it in. She had 6 at the half. That's her first bucket of the second half, and it's 63-41 as we go under 2 minutes remaining. Wold pressured and leaves it out for Kennedy. Kennedy, a little pick and roll there with Wendell's. Didn't get the chance to go to the bucket as Erickson played it pretty well there on the defense. Wold comes near side for Kennedy. Kennedy, top of the key to Bush. Bush off the dribble. Try to take it to the bucket, dribble it off her knee, and Elise Larson comes up with the loose ball. Larson leaves it for Fairchild. Back to Larson. Baseline jumper by Swenson. Left it a little bit short. Wendell's the rebound for the Broncos with 1:20 remaining. Broncos will improve to 4-3 on the season, heading to Hibbing next Thursday for a big IRC game down at Hibbing High School. Bush off the dribble. Tipped away. Ball on the floor. Kennedy will come up with it, and a timeout. 30 seconds by Jay Boyle. And we're going to get a host of subs coming back into the ball game. Maddie Olson, Maddie Pierre, Izzy Valenzuela, and Hannah Mark will all come into the ball game. So as I look down on the floor, let's make sure we've got the right 5. Yes, it will be Wendell's, Mark, Valenzuela, Pierre, and Rule. We'll take about a 20-minute break here in between games as the boys will come out and get warmed up, and then we'll get set for the boys varsity game right here from the Falls High Gym, and we'll have that for you on kcc-tv.org and Midco Channel 7, provided somebody's voice holds out. Wendell's will bring it in from the near sideline. Gets it to Rule. Rule brings it across the half-court line, and a little bit of 1-2-2 here as Elvira Samutkin comes in. There's a shot by the Broncos. Rebound battled for, and coming away with it is Elise Larson. Larson quickly up the near sideline, cut off by Valenzuela. Larson in the corner now. Three-pointer on the way by Katarina Samutkin, and she gets fouled by Hannah Mark. Well, that's 4th foul on Hannah Mark, and I'm going to say she's maybe played 4 minutes of this basketball game, maybe 5, and she's picked up those 4 fouls. And just one of those nights for Hannah Mark as Katarina Samutkin heads to the free throw line. Her first opportunity to score tonight. Free throws are left a little bit short. We got a sub coming in, I believe, for Samutkin if she makes the second of 2. Oh, actually 3 free throws. I'll stand corrected. They said she was outside the 3-point line. So here comes Margaret Larson back in. She replaces Danny Erickson, and Larson picked up her 4th foul early in this second half and spent the majority of the game, the majority of the second half, excuse me, on the bench. Samutkin with the 3rd of 3. That is good. So she makes 2 out of 3. 63-43 with 43 seconds remaining. Rule into the front court. Goes to the far side to Wendell's. Wendell's back to Rule, around the horn to Valenzuela. To Rule, under 30 now left. To Wendell's, go inside to Mark. Mark, one dribble, knocked away by Larson. She comes up with the steal and quickly up the near sideline. Looking to take it right to the bucket. Throws up a wild one that didn't grab glass, and then off the hands there of Elvira Samutkin, and it hit the baseline. So the Broncos will take over here with 17.4, and the Broncos, I'm sure, will bring it across the timeline and should just pass it around the perimeter. Although I'm sure some of these girls would like to get their points scored here. Rule, near side, Valenzuela. Izzy off the dribble to Rule. Rule thought about the 3. Wendell's late shot at the buzzer, no good, and the final score will be the Broncos 63. Littlefork Big Falls Vikings 43 as the Broncos improve to 4-3, and the Vikings, excuse me, will fall to 6-3. Danny Erickson had 8 points for the Vikings, 4 for Andy Williams, 13 for Elise Larson, 1 for Kenzie.